Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is James, and I've been asked on a number of occasions, what is the World Bank doing with a creative director? And it is a funny question. Right now, I'm taking care of two projects under the World Bank's GFDRR umbrella, the Global Faculty of Disaster Reduction and Recovery. It's supported by the EU and is a global partnership that helps low, middle income countries better understand and reduce their vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change. My main roles are the creative direction for the Understanding Risk community and the Averted Disaster Award. The UR community was established in 2010 and since has grown to over 20,000 members focusing on disaster risk management. We are currently preparing for the 8th Understanding Risk Forum, which is a biannual forum bringing together governments, academia, public and private sectors together for 5 days of technical workshops and innovation sessions. You are building a culture of resilience. We encourage dialogue on a horizontal through all sectors. We use creativity to encourage the community to think outside the box. As an example, we've used acrobats, art, augmented reality, robots making music with seismic data to unlock sectorial barriers. On a human level, how different is the risk of a juggler on a tightrope to that of a Minister of Finance after a crisis? Think about it. Who relies on who when building a human tower? Many of today's crises are disaster stories sound like they're out of a Hollywood movie. But we don't want to dwell or reminisce on the horrors of the past or current. We want to build for the future, creating resilient and sustainable living environments for future generations. Since my first involvement with UR in 2016, Europe has witnessed its worst floods, fires, droughts in history. Urban heat maps show the intensity of the heat in the cities. Turn on the news and we see disasters in continuation. Yet we never hear about successful interventions, how much money and homes have been saved by the London Thames or the Venice flood barriers. And on that note, I move over to my other responsibility, which is the Averted Disaster Award. This stems from the research and counterfactual analysis from Professor David Lallemant, Marcia Robonza, and Dr. Yolanda Ling. Excuse me if I get your names wrong. And members of the Disaster Analytics Society Lab at NTU in Singapore. The ADA celebrates the invisible, the everyday normal. It was launched in 2022 by GFDRR and developed as a way to bring visibility to successful disaster interventions that are often rendered completely invisible as a result of their success. We don't hear when a wildfire is avoided due to effective forest management, or an early warning system that saves lives from typhoons or landslides, volcanoes. Solutions exist and can often be adopted and scaled across various communities and living environments across the world. By sharing these stories and successful interventions, the ADA hopes to incentivize decision makers to make better risk-informed decisions and invest in mitigation projects. We also hope to reach the general public and inspire them to understand the value of protective infrastructure. The good disaster risk management needs to be celebrated. Being involved with this project from the ideation, it was a challenge. We were creating news from no news. How do I create an identity of nothingness? There were no projects. We are now in our 3rd year and have had entries from all over the globe, and it is clear to me that the people are the identity of the ADA. The people who wake up in the morning to save lives, who see the elephant in the room. We cannot prevent a natural hazard from occurring, but we can prevent a disaster or try minimize the impact of the hazard on families and communities in the most vulnerable living environments in any part of the world. Making these interventions visible to a wider public, we can inspire new solutions to a wider audience. Does a flood protection barrier have to be a wall? Mangroves improve the biodiversity and fish stocks. Berk Ingalls sees them as recreational parks and coastal cycleways that increase tourism while protecting the city. Can flood tunnels become skate parks? There is big opposition against certain infrastructural projects, as long as they are not in my back garden. But if they are designed with the community and living environments in mind, they are not only resilient projects, but they also increase the quality of life and peace of mind for the community. We are not trying to build back better in Europe. We have to use creativity and incorporate empathy towards future resilient living environments. And I'll wrap up by inviting you all to join the Understanding Risk community and nominate a project for the Averted Disaster Award. Thank you.